Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to War in the Pacific, Admirals Edition, our Let's Play series against XTRG. In today's video, it is March 16th of 1942. The war is going. I don't know whether to say well or poorly. We're doing relative... Oh, well, I guess we're just going to immediately get more bombardments in Tarkin. I'm really surprised he's sending his ships back into Tarkin. We badly damaged a whole bunch of Japanese cargo ships yesterday. Not sure whether we sank any of them or not, but we had a long gun battle at Tarkin with various cargo ships that were trying to unload Japanese troops or supplies or something. And it looks like we've got more Dutch coastal guns battering Japanese transports that are trying to offload various supplies or troops or something or other. So I think I guess I'm seeing Omi, which I believe we thought we sank last turn, but we didn't. But we are hitting both Kenko Maru and Omi Maru pretty heavily again this turn. Let's go ahead and fast forward this a little bit. They'll make a movie out of this? Probably. It'll be like a bad CG movie. Okay, so 4 more shell hits into the Dado Maru, which I was pretty sure would have sunk last turn. 7 shell hits into the Omi Maru, which has heavy damage, and 2 shell hits into the Kenko Maru. 92 Japanese casualties. He's trying to land additional troops here at Tarkin, but they're getting shot up pretty good here in this initial attempt to get these boys ashore. Now they're unloading over Tarkin. 73 more Japanese casualties as they lose squads unloading over the beach. 75mm and 120mm, so they've got both. I'm assuming we'll sink 3 or 4 of his cargo ships, though. Something just sank. We just heard a gurgle. Another battery here. Unfortunately, we haven't really hit the patrol boats all that much, although, bam, we just got one into the Kenzi Maru there. A couple of shell hits on that patrol boat. I imagine they can't take too much damage. All right, let's fast forward. So 2 shell hits into the Kenzi Maru, one of his patrol boats. 12 shell hits into the Dado Maru, heavy damage. 6 Allied casualties in that turn. Yeah, too bad no American 16-inch coastal guns. I don't think the Americans ever had 16-inch coastal guns anywhere. I believe the largest coastal guns the U.S. had anywhere were 12-inchers, I think. I could be wrong on that. I think Britain had some 15-inchers at Singapore historically, but I could be wrong. Oh, they repurposed 1920 South Dakota guns at San Francisco? Okay. All right. Man, this is the sequel to the guns of Tarakan. All right, so 6 more shell hits into the Dado Maru. She's really the bullet sponge, if you will, for his landing force here. 2 into the Ratako Maru. Unfortunately, I'm guessing our shells are a little bit too small in size to do too much. Meanwhile, I did move some patrol boats over the northern coast of Borneo, and then I think the patrol boats were they? I should have sent them to Tarakan. I thought I ordered them to do that, but it looks like they're engaging some Japanese sub-chasers here off the coast of Borneo here. We only have torpedoes, and we have, like, machine guns on these British motor torpedo boats. So I'm not sure how effective they're going to be, but it would be pretty awesome to sink some Japanese sub-chasers with patrol boats of our own to help weaken his anti-submarine efforts. So let's root for these motor torpedo boats here and hope they do some damage to the Japanese anti-submarine force. This is the first time I'm witnessing this turn. I haven't actually played it until now. I don't think we'll sink any of these guys unless we get a torpedo in here. 7.7mm machine guns aren't going to sink a sub-chaser. But maybe they'll put one dead in the water so we can fire some torpedoes at them. I'm not 100% sure if these are big enough targets for the motor torpedo boats to think that they should fire their torpedoes at them in the first place, though. You can see a lot of hits, but again, it's basically machine gunning the deck. So they might do a little bit of superficial damage that he's got to throw them into a port, but I really would love to torpedo something. All right, let's fast forward this a little bit. So we lose 1 motor torpedo boat. We put 12 machine gun hits into one sub-chaser, 5 into another, but we don't actually sink anything or even seriously damage anything. Okay. Zinjafra, you want to like the Grigsby games, but you can't? Or you don't? I get it. They're very particular, should we say? Yeah, I can understand they might be a little too much to manage. But they do make for great storytelling elements. In some sense, I would say it's similar to Crusader Kings in that, like, I don't know what the hell's going on under the hood, but, like, sometimes they're fun to watch. I've played Crusader Kings, but I never have... I'm not good enough at it to get some of the epic stories that, like, some you know, really good players at it can generate. I love watching those stories, but I have trouble playing those stories back in my head, whereas War in the Pacific, very, very different kind of game, obviously. But that's the kind of a game that I enjoy playing as well as watching. Something else just sank, by the way. We just got another gurgling noise. Probably more of his damaged ships at Tarakan. X-Masks, there are utilities that let you track all of that stuff. There's like a combat tracker and other things like that where you can actually input your results in there. Meanwhile, we're going to get an air battle over Singapore with our Blenheim IF 2-engine fighters. They should be pretty sturdy against the Japanese fighters, I would think, but they're probably not going to be super useful against the fighters. Maybe they can get into the bombers, though, press through and shoot down some of his ANs here. They're just not going to be maneuverable enough against the Nates, I don't think. Although they're getting some shots at them. They're just not hitting anything. Yeah, X-Mac, there are utilities where you can... there are utilities where you can see what you can basically upload all your combat results, and it'll keep them in this utility indefinitely, basically. It's just not part of the base game. But they're free downloads that, like, various players have leveraged or created. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not smart to risk my only night fighters. Interestingly enough, XTRG has not been one to really use his night bombing capabilities. He's launched one night bombing raid, I think, in the entire war so far. Okay. Pretty quiet turn so far. O-21 being attacked by Japanese patrol boats, but they don't do anything there. Another ship just sank. I just heard the gurgling noise yet again. I believe that's always correct, although obviously if the combat results are sometimes janked, as we've seen in the past, that may not be something we can totally rely on. Japanese deliberate attack at Tarkin. Whoa, they got 3 Naval Guards units ashore? Shit. They didn't get the odds, though, there. 1-2. Deliberate attack. 1,700 troops versus our 2,300 defenders. 120 Japanese casualties, 11 squads disabled. We lose 1 squad destroyed. So we held, despite him having 3 Naval Guard units and massively outnumbering us there. We got a pretty good roll, I think. 174-49 with only 1 fort level. I didn't order... I ordered them to stop the bombardments. I don't know why they're continuing to expend supply, but I guess that's okay. Japanese shock attack driving our base force off the railway here between Bangkok and Singapore. An element of the 7th Royal Thai Army Division. Drove our troops back. But we're still on the rail line! Oh, or is there... I think we're still on the rail line there. I think he drove me back into another hex where we... I need to double check. There might be 2 hexes the rail moves through. All right, Japanese took another base on Celebes here. That's okay. That island's already gone. Singapore expands its fortifications to level 3. Nice. So if you remember in the last attack, his engineers got the fort level down from 3 to 2 before they attacked. So I was worried that they were going to attack again and then drop it from 2 to 1, and then that would hurt our odds. But right now we're right back where we were before the last attack from a fortification perspective. So hell yeah, Singapore, keep holding out, guys. Keep holding out. Tie down all those Japanese divisions. Must be too much to expect troops to fight ashore after fight after swimming ashore. Yeah, I mean, I think most of his troops got ashore. He had several ships there we didn't hit. We really were pouring our shells into like the Omi Maru or whatever. But let's take a look. Admiral Tarakan, if that's even how you pronounce it. T for the Queen, thanks for the follow. Also, Blue Jerry's, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the butcher shop. I don't know, like people have their like little sayings of what they call their followers, their on their channels or whatever. Like there was one channel I follow where they refer to everybody in the dog pound or whatever, but I feel like given everybody calls me the butcher, maybe we should be called the butcher shop or something. I don't know. Might be a little off-putting to people who don't get the inside joke, but all right, so you can see here our assault value went up by another 13 at Singapore, so that's good. So our troops are healing after the last Japanese attack. I think we're still down by about 30 assault value from our last attack, but hey, you know it's all good there. We got the fort level back up, and our assault value is healing. Guys, we're healing. Nature is healing. Singapore is healing. The 11th and 9th Indian divisions are in pretty damn good shape there. You can see their experience levels also up to over 50. Most of our troops are all to 100 in terms of their preparation points, and you can see all the experience for these troops, for the vast majority, with the exception of maybe a few anti-aircraft units, is 50 plus, and then we've got like an engineer unit as well. So that's all good to see. Meanwhile, the 223 RAF group is... I thought their load cost was like 2,000 last turn, but apparently it's down to 800? So that's good. That seems different. We are working on pulling them out, so I did actually move some more I moved some DC-2s out of Burma, and then I moved some S-1900 Singapore 3s, which are some patrol aircraft that can do troop transports, into Medan. You can see here that the 223 RAF Group -1 is up to 384 load cost, so they've got about a third of the total force that is currently here, if you will, packing up to move to Sibang. Meanwhile, I do have a bunch of subs that just arrived at Singapore, so I think we're also going to see if we can't pack up some more of the 223 RAF headquarters group on submarines to get them out of there as well. All right, so Singapore fort level, let's just confirm. It is up to level 3. That's excellent. Fort supply still at 17,000. I think I'm going to order them to continue building the fort, mainly because I would just want to burn supply. I don't think there's any scenario where we're going to burn 17,000 supply up before the city falls. Also, we have another sub here that we moved in. So we now have 6 submarines that we can try and pull some troops out. 276 load cost we can pull out. Which we'll worry about in a minute. Okay, so we've got these troops. They are on a rail line, but there is a rail line that moves a little bit to the west here in Bangkok. So these guys are the ones who were attacked here to the south of Bangkok. They retreated north toward Pegu, which actually put them right along the rail line. When I hit the R key, I believe this is the roads or the rail lines. So you can see here that there is no rail line east to west to Bangkok to that hex. So they are still sitting directly astride the enemy supply line. The fact that they're still sitting there is great. They have very little in the way of strength, just support and aviation support. So it's a little bit like before they actually had infantry squads. So now it's a little bit cheesy that they're still blocking supply. But I didn't move them there with that intent, so they just retreated there. So that's good. That means that he still won't get that rail supply. He'll have to send it via sea, which he can definitely do. He's got the shipping to do it. It's just a little bit of a pain. We've got some other submarines that I think are on the way to Singapore as well, primarily because they were low on fuel or other things like that over the northern edge of the the Dutch or of Borneo. Meanwhile, our motor torpedo boats are all pulling back here to Sarkadin, where they think they have some fuel they can load back up. I don't think any of them used their torpedoes. I guess they didn't have a good enough target, so they just used their machine guns, which isn't great. They're not going to do much there. I should have sent them down to Tarkin to hit those damaged transports, although the patrol boats might have chewed them up. I'm not sure. Meanwhile, I have put some subs in front of Palembang. I've got one already here, and I have others that are on the way. Why for railroads? Yep. Well, so I don't know how this works then, because there's a railroad indicator indicating it does go west, but it doesn't link up here. So I don't know if that means that he gets partial railroad supply into here, or if there's no railroad supply. I don't really know what that partial dash means, but it does look to me like they're not connected. So I would think that's good for us. Using those loyalty points there, I see, Sean Mac, to get the highlighted text. I've got a new setup where I've got my iPad mini on a boom arm for a mic with a converter screw, so I can actually attach like one of those tripod mounts to it. So I've got my tablet sitting right above my screen, which makes it easier to see stuff like that, so I don't have to look off to the right where it's harder to remember to do that. Hello, iPad mini chat. You know, you can use that feature to use the Scotch glass emoji also, Charcoal. Or actually, no, that's only if you've donated over 2,000 bits. Never mind. Okay. So the Wildcat is ready. So let's go ahead and transfer the one Wildcat to Batavia. Then we'll go ahead and disband the group. Send them all to the pools. So that was the last of the fighters that was left over from our carrier raid, where we packed a bunch of fighters into Singapore. 689 bits away, like a G-Man. Well, you know, someday you'll get there with all those free bits that Amazon gives you. All right. So I don't know at what point you get enough of a unit out that you can reconstitute it as the full unit. I think there's a point where you can do that. Let's go ahead and dock these guys and load some troops, but I don't have that option. I can't load troops? I'm confused. I thought for sub-transport you can load troops. Oh, they have to be SSTs? They can't just be a sub-transport? In this case, they can only bring supply? Well, darn! God damn it. Lame. Well, at least I got all these guys pulling full loads of torpedoes out of Singapore. That'll eat up some supply. I don't think I have any SSTs, so that's unfortunate. All right. Meanwhile, do we have all of ABDA out yet? So it looks like we got the bulk of ABDA. There's some up at Seabang. I think we should have almost all of it out of Batavia now. So there's a very small number of men left in the ABDA headquarters here in Batavia. We're evacuating these guys to Burma. We can see here that 41 supply, or is that load cost or supply? 60 load cost are at Batavia, which is only using 13 supply. 41 have already made it to Rangoon, and then 15 more are at Sabang. So I think we'll probably get the rest, and I'm just looking at the supply cost. I imagine we'll get the rest of these guys out today, which means then we can shift our focus to trying to pull out the RAF groups. Singapore is mined already, P. Warner, so we have 255 defensive mines at Singapore. What about Palembang? He's sure to go for Palembang. Palembang is not mined. I don't think we have enough mines, though, to throw them on these ships. I think we've already used most of our submarine mines up. Yeah, doesn't look like I've got enough mines here for most of my ships. So there's that. So some of the guys have mines, right? I think we literally got 2 mines. The Finback, I think, is the only one that has mines. Well, that's pointless. Let's just go back to sub-patrol. You know what I should do is... That uses ops points, doesn't it? Oh, it didn't, apparently. All right. I'll put 2 mines at Palembang. They're not going to do anything. By the way, did that attack on Tarkin do anything to the oil facilities here? It doesn't look like he's done any damage there yet. Stop bombarding. Just hold your position and hold out as long as you can. Okay. Is there any fuel here to pull? No. We get a little bit of fuel for these patrol boats at Cebu next turn. Meanwhile, these motor torpedo boats are going to try and pull back. Can we get them into Singapore? Can they make it? No. Can we get them to Kuching? Almost. We can almost get them to Kuching. They'll end up 2 hexes shy and they'll take system damage. The alternative is moving back around to the Celeb Sea, and then they're going to be stuck there. We have a couple of patrol boats here. And we've also just repaired a bunch of patrol boats in the harbor here. So you can see here we've got Lieutenant Commander Bromgart. He's our most aggressive skipper. He's also got a really good naval value here. He should hopefully be an effective patrol boat commander that maybe he can do some damage at Palembang if the enemy comes knocking. We've got 1 more patrol boat that's still repairing. It'll be back tomorrow. And then got some patrol boats, some PT boats down here, some Dutch PT boats down here. They've got slightly bigger machine guns, but they still only have machine guns. Okay. So the thing I wanted to talk about early on, I guess, is I'm going to check out SIGINT. So this is the news that was mentioned at the start of the stream. The 617th Japanese Air Force unit is located or loaded on a Japanese transport moving to Palembang. So what that intel tells us is that, I don't know where, but he's got troops loaded on a cargo ship on the way to Palembang, which means the invasion force for Palembang is on its way. Now, I don't have a ton to defend Palembang. I haven't followed the Fortress Palembang strategy. I've got the Zuid KNL Battalion, 65 AV. They have 35 experience and 77 morale. They have 31 infantry squads. They've got a couple of anti-tank guns and artillery pieces, a couple of Vickers squads, and then some militia squads as well. They've got 1 75mm field gun. We've got the So Sumatra Garrison Battalion, which again is 33 KNL rifle squads, some anti-tank guns, some 80mm mortars, no anti-shipping there. We've got the Palembang Base Force, which has 8 75mm coastal defense guns, 80mm anti-aircraft guns, 40mm anti-aircraft guns. Nothing else though, just 75mm coastal defense guns. And then we've got the Toloktoba whatever base force here, 80mm anti-aircraft guns, but no coastal defense guns. Yeah, Charcoal, we could try to spoil the party. The problem is our carriers are all the way down here. And it looks like they used a bunch of ops points this turn to refuel. So they're probably not going anywhere. Interesting. So our carriers are up here, and they also didn't draw fuel from either of these replenishment groups. He doesn't have any detection over them. You bet the artillery pieces last fought at Waterloo? Maybe. Let's do this. Let's hold the carriers in position for now. I hate the idea of stopping in the middle of the ocean. That's just asking for a sub to creep up on us and torpedo us. Oh, it's because I set it to do not refuel. That's fair. Full refuel there. Full refuel here. So that's probably my mistake. God damn it. In any event, we should get both these guys west here to put another 12,000 fuel into this group of ships. Hopefully they've got the ops points to do it, and then we can move them south. Well, Koavoken, we don't know what he's been... I'm assuming he's been flying a lot of heavy recon in this area, so he may know the carriers have left. But I'm not really sure. The problem is I don't really have air cover I can fly over that area and successfully get, like... I think I'm pretty limited. I also don't have a lot of recon in this area just because he's destroyed most of our shipping, and I don't know where those guys are coming from either for Palembang. I wish the SIGINT said where they were located, but it doesn't tell me if they're coming from like the southeast, the Southeast Asia area, or if they're coming from the Dutch East Indies or where. 5189 is heavy radio traffic. So theoretically, they could be here already. It said Japanese heavy radio traffic here. I didn't have any recon over here, so they might be a hex away. They could be right here. Based off of our SIGINT, we know that there's this unit located on an AK, and we know that there's heavy radio traffic detected. Where was that again? 5189. Am I reading that right? Yeah, I am. Heavy volume of radio traffic located here. So, you think it's a bombardment task force if they're coming in with heavy traffic? I find it unlikely that he's going to do a heavy bombardment at Palembang because there's so much important oil there. He's got 780,000 units of oil, 60,000 units of fuel, a refinery that produces 1,000 and oil that produces 900 a turn. It would be pretty reckless to bombard the oil. He's going to probably lose a fair amount of damage anyway, but that feels reckless. The only things he sent into Palembang were patrol boats. Now, maybe he's worried there's going to be something similar waiting for him at Palembang. So it could just be the invasion task force. So let's do this. The Gato is the fastest and the best shape. We need more aggressive skippers. Sorry, W.G. Myers, your naval value's good, but your aggression's too low. I need O.R. Dockery, 69 aggression. And I'm going to send him south on a naval patrol. I'm going to set the patrol zone as Palembang, I think. And then I'm going to go ahead and set flank speed. Palembang has plenty of fuel for our subs to resupply also. What's the nighttime fighting value of these patrol boats? 34. We definitely want to fight. Oh wait, no. That's 38. We definitely want to fight these guys in the day. They get chewed up at night. Where are my Dutch subs? I think I think it's probably too late to lay the mines. All right. The British subs are mostly not around. I've got one over here. I think the Truant is on its way. So I actually have the Truant set to come up to Palembang this next turn. I can probably stop her off at Batavia and load her up with some mines. But a lot of my Dutch subs have had to leave the area due to damage that they received. Can send some S-boats up, but they may not get there in time. I mean, I'm not going to stop the invasion of Palembang, but I would like to sink a ship or two. That would be nice. I've got a bunch of ships already headed up to these areas. You know, it might actually be interesting. Does he have... We have these guys. They have, theoretically, they could have torpedoes. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hexes. Do we want to stop the Catalinas? Can they carry torpedoes? No. Do we have any ships or any planes here that can carry torpedoes? I think it's just the American Catalinas that do. 300 kilogram bombs. They can hit from here. I think they can hit that far north. So let's set all level bombers at this base, because they can't do troop transports anyway. Why are they set to search? I thought I said naval attack. Set them up to 3, set the max range out to 9. Then set the search arcs out to here. JK or JDK Knight or JD Knights, sorry. Thanks for the follow. All right, so we'll do him like that. All right, he's good. He just needs longer range. So we got those two set to naval. We'll move this guy out a little bit. Just to make sure we do our best to detect these guys coming in. So I think that should be all our level bombers here. They can't fly that far. The Falcons, I think I'm going to transfer north to Palembang. Are these dive bombers? What are they? They're light bombers. Light level bombers. Does anybody know if it's better to have a light level bomber come in at like 1,000 feet, or what's the ideal altitude for these guys to have any prayer of an attack? Anybody know? 15,000 tons. Oh, you guys are talking about bombers? Or, they'll be horrible at every altitude, but they have a best chance at 1,000 or 100 feet. Is 100 or 1,000 feet better? They're flying coffins. They won't hit anything. Fine! Co, what's better, 1,000 or 100 feet? Their skills are probably... I feel like their skill levels are they say they're better than they are. So their skill experience level is 50. But like when we look at the naval bombing trait, nobody's above 32. So their skill pretty much all comes from ground bombing. So once the men get ashore, they might do some damage, and their defensive values. So they're good at staying alive, or not good, but they're tolerable at staying alive and bombing infantry. But that's all they're any good at. You'd go with 1,000? Okay, thanks. I think that's what they're all set to already. Oh, we have one U.S. Navy unit in here. Man, if I had kept the carriers around, it would be interesting to jump these guys, whatever he's sending, but... Alright. Didn't I... Oh, yeah, so that's the Gato. Let's not forget about these. I'm not going to bore you guys with like a 2-hour stream of me setting everything up, but I am going to do a couple more of these skipper changes here. Since I'm in port at Singapore, I might as well use some of my political points here to get some good captains in here. And by good for submarine commanders, really all I mean is they need to be aggressive. I feel like it's that old Silent Hunter 3 meme where it's like, be more aggressive. I sank a 50,000-ton ship. Be more aggressive. Okay, he's already good. How can you be aggression 38 and be a submarine commander? Sink more ships. That is probably part of my issue with my subs, is I haven't replaced enough of the skippers with more aggressive skippers. All right, I think that's everybody. You know what? I'd rather you be aggressive with a Mark 14. If you put 4 duds into the enemy ship, you got a better chance of an explosion than putting no duds into an enemy ship. Sean Mack, that's not necessarily true. I believe XTRG told me the other day that he has now changed his approach as well, where he does sort of like a recap stream, and then he does God, what am I doing? He does like a recap stream, and then what he does is he actually does most of the orders offline now. So I think he's actually following a similar approach to what I do now. I don't know if sending them all to Palembang is a good idea. That's really shallow. It's in a river. I'd rather get out ahead of them. So I think what we'll do, and I don't know, again, what direction they're coming from, so I think we'll set sort of a 3, and we've got a lot of submarines also. So I think what we'll do is we'll set mostly 3 hex patrol zones, because it sure would be great if we can intercept them out front of the port. Would have been better if I had the foresight to lay some mines here, because he hasn't really been landing with minesweepers for the most part. He did it in some of his early landings, but I think now he probably doesn't have the minesweepers to keep up with his pace of operations. Also, I suspect the fact that we haven't heavily mined other bases in the past is leaving him a little bit complacent. I'm pretty sure we did successfully mine one of his ships a couple turns back. Okay. I'm kind of tempted if we should name this, if he's not already in that hex. I suspect he is. I mean, this would be, by the way, this might be the first time that SIGINT has actually given us a substantial amount of valuable information. Because for the most part, it's given us little tidbits, but it hasn't really given us the amount of information that I feel like Allied code breaking would. So maybe SIGINT will be a little bit more useful, or maybe it was just a lucky strike. I'm not sure. Cruiser mine layers like a G-Man. We've got a few left, but none of them are here. So I think we've got one was just sunk recently in Australia. I think we have another one near Perth. And then I think we have one in Melbourne. Yeah, that's a good point, Ko. But I do feel like major choke points like Palembang should be mined. Not saying you put all your mines in one basket, but I'd rather have you know, at least one place mined than nothing. Okay. The only thing is he's been very good about making sure he's got a lot of patrol boats with his task forces. So we're probably just going to end up getting spotted by the enemy and then diving. And then not actually doing any damage. But who knows? Maybe having the aggressive commanders will make a difference. Also, I'll set the subs to react, so if we detect him with our patrol planes. I'm guessing he's gonna set his ships up to come up at night. So they may even show up before our subs arrive. But if they are transports, they might be slow, and the fact that we haven't detected them via air yet, he may not know that we know they're coming. Yeah, like if I had put mines in front of Palembang as well as in Palembang, the difficulty is when you put mines at deeper water, it decreases their effectiveness, right? So that's something you've got to balance. Okay, we've been pretty much focusing exclusively on Singapore and Palembang this turn so far, so let's take a look elsewhere in a moment here. Really kind of disappointed about that inability to transport these guys via our subs. So that means we probably won't get both RAF groups out. We might get one of them. If even that. Okay, so how the guys at Patan look? Still 20,800 supply, so the supply dipped a little bit. 1,900 assault value, they're still hanging out there. Looks like they still have 2 Japanese divisions tied up based on our limited information. Japanese have 14 units at Johor Bahru. It makes me wonder if they brought in reinforcements after the recent failures in Singapore. They may have done that, and the fact that we raised the forts may not matter, but let us hope that it does. Meanwhile, the 18th British Division has arrived, I think? No. Where are they? Where are they? 18th British Division is on the way to Rangoon. They're on their trains, and they've moved from Metanknia down toward Shuebo. 63rd Brigade is moving to Pegu, where we're going to form the division there. Once the British get down to Rangoon, I think we're going to take the 1st Burmese Infantry Division. We're going to take the 18th British Infantry Division, and we're going to take something else. And we're going to try and push across the river at Molman to savage some Royal Thai Army divisions. I think he has 2 Royal Thai divisions there. So if we hit him hard and fast, we might be able to shatter him and drive him back with some quality troops. Meanwhile, in China, we can see here that he's definitely pulled troops back from this river line here near Chikikang. You can see we're still dealing with supply challenges because we have such a large force here and we're trying to bring in large amounts of supply into this base. All the units are actually okay supply-wise, but we continue to draw a lot of supply in here because the assault value is so high and you always try to get triple the supply need in a base. So this might be a little bit of a problem. I have ordered some units to move around to pull out of the city, but I did want to leave these guys in place until we get to level 4 forts, and once we get to level 4 forts, mixed with the terrain advantage that we have there, I think we can substantially reduce the force at this city and move it out. We're also sending reinforcements down to Luchou and Guilin. Now that we know that he's pulling troops away from this line, I'm assuming he's going to move south and flank toward Guilin. We already have some troops here. Not enough, but 600 is some. I think I'm moving 1 unit off to the east as well to take advantage of the rough terrain out there. It's actually slightly better terrain to the east on this rail line, so anything to slow him up a little bit in China. Meanwhile, we were looking at troops in Burma. One other thing just to call out, so we do have some of these harbor defense mine layers got here. So we do have 3 cargo task forces in the port of Rangoon at the moment. That's a little bit more shipping than I would like. But these guys should be undocking this turn. They should unload the remaining 700 supply they have here. This task force just showed up this turn and started unloading, but they're not docked, so they're going to unload very slow. And this task force here is about half unloaded and docked up. So once both of these task forces leave, then we'll begin unloading this task force here with over 40,000 supply on it. We're up to 55,000 supply in Rangoon, and we're hoping that will filter east into China as well. The Burma Air Force looks good, I think, or about as good as we can expect. So in in Rangoon, we've got a lot of modern fighter aircraft. We've got a full group of 24 actually, there's 25. Are we missing one? Yep, this guy. Use drop tanks. Fly back to Rangoon. All right, so we've got a full group of P4 something. What are they? We've got a full group of P-39D Air Cobras, which are modern fighters, although they're bad at high altitude. Still, they can savage a bomber formation pretty good. We've got 2 groups of P-40Es. These are good frontline American fighter units, 20 with 19, one down. And then we've got 16 here with 1 down. So we've got a total of 37 P-40s, 25 P-39s. In the British Air Force, we've got 23 Hurricanes. We've got 6 Flying Tiger H-81A3 P-40B variants, and then we've got 14 Buffalo 1s. So the Rangoon Air Force is pretty stacked with fighter aircraft. 107 aircraft, 104 are ready. P-38s should be mostly ready. I haven't done what I need to do yet for that group. So we did stand down 1 group of P-38 Lightnings. Of 5 38s, we've only gotten 2 so far in the 3 days since we stood it down. I was waiting to see whether that actually truly occurred before I started swapping out groups en masse. I do have enough P400s if I want to replace a group back home with P400s. Maybe one of the P38 groups, switch them over to P400s that is restricted, and then we'd have enough P38s to swap a unit out at the front line. We could even swap this group here, their P39s into P38s. But it might take a few days. I'm not sure where I want to put him, though. I think it kind of depends on where his next push is. Burma might be a little bit of a challenge because I believe the P-38 is a service level 4 aircraft, which gives you some pretty big penalties when you operate them out of undersized airfields. Rangoon, I would imagine, is okay from an airfield perspective. We probably need more aviation support down there. But yeah, so it might, it's actually a level 5 airfield. I don't know what the asterisk represents. Yeah, some manual pilot hunting for the 38s, probably. I do have some pretty good pilots in that group already. I think there's sort of it's top heavy, I think. So you can see here we've got quite a few pilots over level 60. I would imagine we'd want pilots over level 60 for that. I think we have a couple of aces. You know, one of the P40 groups might not be a bad idea. These guys, maybe? They're level 54 experience. They have an 83 pilot, 78, 76, 70, 63. It's still about the same number plus 70s. Obviously, we can manually move in pilots from the replacement pools, too. The Buffaloes I'd love to replace with something better, but these are apparently Royal Australian Air Force groups, and there's nothing that we can pull up at the moment to upgrade them to, so they're stuck with their Buffaloes. One other alternative would be actually this group might be a good group to swap over to P-38s. They do have to be removed by July 4th, but I'll probably burn through the P-38s in the next 3 months anyway, so it wouldn't matter. So even though they do get withdrawn, it might not be a terrible idea to upgrade them. It's a group of 27. They're Flying Tigers. Average experience is 66. The pilots here are almost universally over 60. So this would probably be a good group. Not as many over 70, although their air experience is definitely largely over 70 for almost all of them. So these guys might not be a bad group to leverage. Pappy Boyington can get his P-38s early. Ba Black Sheep or whatever. That was Pappy Boyington, right? I'm not mixing him up with someone else. Get Pappy out of there. Why, man? Get him some P-38s. You know, I knew he flew Corsairs, but who cares? He's going to withdraw anyway, right? All right, so... Oh, nice. Okay. So we've started dispersing our force in front of Cyan a little bit. So I'm pulling some troops out of Cyan to lower the required supply amounts. I think we've got other guys that are... No, they're not moving yet. We got some units to the east here in this rough terrain. So you can see he's actually bringing up a unit here from the east. So that's good here. If he is bringing this unit up from Loyang, he might have been moving it here to flank Cyan a little bit and potentially cross the river here because it's not a direct supply line, but this little dash I think means it's easier. So we did get some troops to the east here in this very rough terrain. I don't know why I'm doing that. You can see WR. So we've got a good number of troops here, about 1,000 assault value to the east of Cyan. They've got sufficient supplies. They're 3 very good Chinese corps. We can have them sit on the defensive. We also have this large formation out front of Cyan of about 1,000 assault value as well, also in rough terrain. And then we've got 1 unit or 2 units here to the east of Cyan, also in some clear terrain, preventing an easy flank march up this railway. I think I might move them over here just to try and get out a little bit further away from this clear terrain, somewhere that's a little bit easier to defend. But in any event. Also, what's Cyan's fort? What are their forts up to? Level 3, but they're pretty close to getting to level 4. So we want to get that up to level 4 because it is clear terrain, so it's not the best place to make a stand. So that's good to see. Let's move south here. Wow, we've got almost 80 people watching. 76 last I just took a look. Can you, by the way, can you pick troops up when there's no airfield? Like, can I pick these guys up with a troop transport? I don't know if I have any troop transports that can try it. Interesting. No, I can't. It says I need to select a base for pick. Well, I don't know. In any event, I'd rather transport ABDA out to Sabang first. Most western tip of Java, you have 9. Well, here, yeah. Yeah, it's a landlock hex. Maybe we should move them down here. Set all to move. All right, so the troops at Tarakan probably won't have much more to shoot at. Let's actually take a look here at the intelligence report and see. Last turn, it claims, well, we do know we lost the motor torpedo boat. We didn't see any Japanese shipping go down, so we didn't claim anything last turn. If we take a look at all dates, we take a look at sunk date. So the motor torpedo boat went down yesterday. The AKL Kampa Filipina went down off the coast of near Exmouth. The cruiser mine layer here went off near Fraser Island. Yeah, so I haven't claimed any Japanese ships in a while. But I don't know if that's legitimate we're not sinking them, or if it's just fog of war. I'm pretty sure we sank some of those cargo ships. You forgot how good better Twitch is. I don't know what that means, Sean Mac. So, Co, I would have to get American PBYs down here. I've got a few, but it would delay our withdrawal of ABDA. So we could bring some of the Americans down. We can carry Mark 22 torpedoes. The pilot experience, though, for naval torpedo is pretty shitty. If you lose ABDA, they just come back at Aden. Really? So the transferring of the whole unit doesn't even matter? It would help in the Burma campaign, though, and they wouldn't be coming back for a while. So the force at Burma is actually 720 or 370. God, I'm like dyslexic sometimes. 370 of the load cost. 84 more is awaiting transport. You know, we could probably move these 5 Catalinas south. Well, let's actually double check. So their crew experience is 56 with trash for naval torpedo. These guys, their naval torpedo is pretty much the same, just as bad. Browser extension, Sean? Okay. Didn't know that. Sala Frenchie, this is probably the most detailed strategy game ever. So you're looking at individual units of air, like individual Air Force squadrons or naval squadrons. You're looking at infantry units down to the battalion level, and a couple of cases down to the company level. If we go to the U.S. West Coast, you can see here that we've got, you know, these are individual troop transports just packed in all over the place. We've got, you know, literally everything you could think of in terms of ship types, APDs, APs, AMs, AGs, ACVs. Heck, we've even got yard patrol craft. This is probably the most detailed World War II Pacific game ever made, and yeah, I don't know what else to say there. It's like crack for micromanaging addicts. Yes, probably. The regiment in Sabang, we will build it. There you go. 100 rifle squads. That's a good size regiment. It's almost to 100 preparation points. If he doesn't attack in the next 20 days, we might be able to get its experience boost up to 50, which would help its defensive value there. 105. We could even potentially, we have enough political points, we could switch the headquarters and we could send a transport unit down south to pull these guys out of Sumatra and get 105 assault value up into Rangoon, which would be nice, but their replenishment pool is so bad that I'm not sure it's worth it. Hearts of Iron focuses on different things. By the way, we're also completely ignoring production, which is a huge thing for the Japanese in the game. So the Allies don't really control their production in this game, but the Japanese do. All right, so we got these guys fuel. Nice. So these destroyers are going to... They took a bit of system damage, but they're going to get out of there. Oh, God. How did these guys run out of fuel? So we're going to go ahead and send this guy over here. Hopefully he can meet up with these guys and get them some fuel. I also have this AD sailing south as well to get some fuel. They're just asking to get torpedoed. He doesn't have any detection on him, though, so that's good. Meanwhile, we've got some tankers, which apparently didn't unload their fuel because I didn't tell them to do that. No, I did. Why am I sending them back to Los Angeles? What the hell? There's escorts co for these guys. Just one. But there's a pretty decent escort here. A Flower class Canadian corvette. Did we lose sight of the carrier group? No, we didn't. So they're here. Or at least have some of their heavy cruisers are here. So remember, the carriers were between Palmyra and Christmas Island last turn. It looks like they're moving west. At least some of their cruisers are. We've spotted 5 ships, 3 heavy cruisers. Good chance these are actually the carriers moving west. Probably out to Baker or back into the Gilbert Islands. Not sure where they're going to be going. They could also move north, you're right. I mean, this might not be the whole task force. This could be a diversion. Although I think if it was the whole task force, we would have spotted them. There's a lot of naval recon going in and around Palmyra and the other bases here, so I really think if he was heading north, we would spot them. Moving west and moving in light cloud, there's a chance maybe we missed them, or maybe they're somewhere over here where the coverage is a little bit weaker. But that is a lot of naval search. Again, the arcs are strong, Koavoken, but that is because we know there's a crap ton. I mean, the Japanese carrier formation was here, so the only area it's a little bit weaker is behind Palmyra, where you get the nighttime phase. But there's a lot of overlap in pretty much all these areas. I think we've got like 70 PBYs operating in the area, or patrol aircraft. So I didn't want to lose sight of where his carriers are. Frenchie, we did sink a Japanese battleship off of Malaya. The British battleships that took part, the Prince of Wales and the Repulse, were not sunk by the historical Japanese shipping there. They were badly damaged, however. So the Repulse is about 2 months away from being back in action. The Prince of Wales is about a year, well, I guess 2/3 of a year, a little bit more than 2/3 of a year away from being in action. Both of them are being repaired right now at Cape Town. We haven't lost any capital ships yet, knock on wood. I'm sure now that I say that, our carriers will get sunk or something like that. But in terms of actual results so far, we did not sink the Congo and Fuso. I don't know why these are still coming up here. We've seen the Fuso since this report, and she was not sunk. We've seen the Congo, I believe, or something. We put a bomb into her off Mersing. But we did sink the Haruna with biplanes. We had some wildebeests and some swordfish hit the Haruna as he attempted to land troops at Mersing, and then we had heavy cruisers finish them off. We did put a torpedo into the Maya. I'm not sure if we've seen her or not. It was one of the rare Mark 14s that worked, so I'm not sure if it sank. The Houston was our worst warship casualty so far. The Congo hasn't been seen. We still know that she didn't sink, Neuhauser. We put one bomb into her. She didn't sink from that. I did lose the Houston, yep. Okay. So, it's an interesting idea. I don't think I'll get there in time, but what do you guys think about moving this cruiser task force, 3 light cruisers and some destroyers up toward Palembang? We could refuel them at Tigilap and we could sprint them in the slot. They might get hit by Japanese air, but I think it's a light enough task force that it might be worth it. Kyle, we witnessed the Haruna sink, though, so we know she did sink. It was in the middle of a battle, and it did say sunk. And XTRG has all but confirmed that it sank. He even commissioned like a $200 or something artwork of the Haruna getting attacked with like a torpedo explosion off the bow. The Haruna definitely sank. Really, like a G-Man? You really don't want me to send these guys north? Why not? I think it'd be an interesting idea. Right now, they're just kind of patrolling off the northwest Australian coast. There might be too many G3Ms. I mean, we could sprint them in at night and get sunk by Japanese torpedoes. We could probably make it from Batavia to Palembang with a cruiser sprint in a night phase. Well, this is our carriers. So our carriers are returning from a mission where we sent our fighters off the carriers, based them out of Singapore, shot down 70 Japanese bombers over Singapore, and now they're pulling back. We've got some tankers that are going to meet them in the middle of the ocean here to refuel them, so then we can send the carriers around Australia without having to go back to the base of their operations at Perth. So he shouldn't hopefully know where they are. Maybe like a G-Man. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. All right. 6-inch guns, 28 victory value. They're both Omaha classes, so they're not the greatest light cruisers. We're going to send them north to Tigilap. Destroyer's range is too short. Maybe Neuhauser. If they get detected, we'll pull them back. He has some detection on this this force here of tankers. We do have a light cruiser, a Dutch light cruiser, and a destroyer with this tanker. Be interesting to see if he sends anything west here to try and try and intercept. We should probably route these guys further west. We pulled a little bit more fuel out of Java. So we'll route these guys a little bit more directly west. We also have, I'm kind of tempted to send these tankers up to Oosthaven as well to try and pull some fuel out of there. These guys are headed down to Perth. Where did our other tanker go? We had another one. Oh, this is it. So this guy's pulling oil out of Oosthaven. So we'll send him west as well. So he's got a small amount of detection on this tanker and cruiser task force. There is no detection on this lone tanker. No escort, though, so it definitely could go down if it runs into a sub. If you want money, don't do it, Sean Mack. Well, give me the money, and maybe I won't do it. Damn those torpedoes, full speed ahead. Yeah, I mean, some destroyers with the cruisers might be useful to screen them, but the larger the task force, the more easily it's spotted. Just chill, Neuhauser, okay? Yeah, if he sees it, maybe he'll think twice. Maybe he'll delay it. I don't think they're going to get there in time anyway, so we'll see. There are two light cruisers that aren't doing anything. They're just sitting in a patrol off the coast of Perth. Okay, we're still unloading the British or the Australian divisions here. Actually a lot of the shipping here already unloaded. Some of our men here of the 85th and 38th anti-aircraft and anti-tank. 6 Australian are still taking forever to get off these boats. Off the boats! I called the ship a boat! This task force has unloaded the majority of its men, though. So that's good. Let's transfer the AKV to port so we free up some dock space. We're also unloading a little bit of supply off the other AP. We'll also transfer this guy. He's already unloaded. We'll keep these guys. Well, they're not even docked. These guys aren't docked. Can't dock because of port size. Hopefully we'll get the rest of the 6 off here, and then these other elements that aren't able to dock will be able to dock next turn. So you can see here there's some motorized support on both those ships as well. I like cruiser raids, Coevoke, and I agree. You'll point out that when the guy said the torpedo's full speed ahead, he was talking about mines. Make that of what you will. Yeah, I know. I can do it! All right. So we actually have some other light cruisers up this way, too. We can send to reinforce that screen off the northern coast of Australia. So we'll have these guys go meet up with that other task force. Not the ones going into Palembang, but the ones staying off the Australian coast. And they'll merge. Just to reinforce our strength there off the coast in the event he tries to send some sort of light raid south. The 6th Australian Division at Perth, meanwhile, here is up to 479 assault value. It's almost all ashore. Just about 100 motorized support is not yet ashore. Everything else is here, and it's almost at full strength. The anti-tank guns, I don't think was at full strength when it spawned. But 6th Australian is here. And it's going to move east. I just don't think, Neuhauser, that our cruisers will get there in time. I think that we picked up radio communications at 5189, heavy volume of radio traffic. So I think this is either a light cruiser bombardment task force, of which I don't think he's going to do because that'll damage the oil potentially, or it could be a heavy cruiser bombardment task force, but the point stands. Or it is the invasion task force itself, in which case If he moves him at flank speed, he could very well land this turn before we even get our subs into position. Oh, I'm aware, Sean Mack. I know you're right, though. A lot of people get confused. Mines were originally called torpedoes. Meanwhile, he still hasn't attacked again at Moresby. Whenever he does, I'm sure he will win the battle, or at least he'll reduce the forts back to level 0. Our own troops here are a little bit weakened. I don't really have reinforcements I can send in. The 53rd Australian Brigade is completely knocked out, although I think the disabled troops still can help in a defensive battle. But yeah, so once he attacks at Moresby, I think the base will fall. I think he's probably been struggling to get supply over here to keep his attacks regular. We know he had carriers off the coast of Australia 2 turns ago. We haven't seen them lately. I do have... What do I have here? I've got some Kitty Hawks here at Rockhampton that have spawned. I think I have some Kitty Hawks elsewhere too. I thought there was another Kitty Hawk unit that had spawned. We've got some Hurricanes, which are on their way east from Perth. We just got Hurricanes and Blenheims to Perth, and they're railing across Australia to get over there. Catalinas. S23 Empires. What's their range? Cost 12 points to unrestrict them. It would be tempting to fly them into the Dutch East Indies to help with some of the transport actions that I'm doing. They carry 500-pound bombs and a good amount of them, but I'd rather they have torpedoes. Nav search at Australia. They drop like stones. All right, let's do this. Let's move these caddies down to Batavia. It's going to disrupt our transfer of ABD out, but I think the other group can do it by themselves. We'll set these guys to naval attack with no search, so we're going to be dependent on the other guys to detect. And then we'll fly out to normal range with torpedoes. Normal range is 15. And we got to buy some torpedoes, which is fine. So 20 torpedoes should be sufficient, I think, for these Catalinas. Be nice if we had the radar version of the Catalina, but we don't. So 5 times 2 is 10. They fly 2 missions, that's 20. So it should be enough torpedoes there. 10,000 feet for a torpedo attack. Good to know. Do that. Thanks, Co. 20 should be enough. We've only got 5 caddies down there. I could move the other 4 and we could just try and brute force it. All of their ratings suck anyway, so maybe we just want more. Where's the Bolo Brigade when you need them? Bolos don't carry torpedoes. We can add more torpedoes. We've got enough supply there that it doesn't matter, I don't think. So we'll do 100. The only negative thing here is if these guys get shot to pieces, then obviously it's gonna hurt a little bit in terms of pulling troops out of the Dutch East Indies. I think we have some guys flying out of... No, we don't have anyone flying out of Rangoon to pull them in. Do we have anyone else that could do that? Do we have any other... We've got some DC-2s. Can move them into Rangoon. I think they're going to be too far away. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The Air Force unit probably... I wouldn't think he'd put the Air Force unit in the landing party. So maybe it's further back. Maybe this is the actual initial landing party. I'm not sure. We do have a small patrol boat task force led by a plucky, very aggressive commander. We just have to hope that he uses torpedoes on whatever's coming. We'll have to see. Actually, wait. I can do one more thing. I've got 6 Catalinas up here that are unrestricted. Can they get up to Batavia? I think they've got the range. Okay. So we're going to pull 5 more caddies up here. Experience level on these guys is better, 61. Naval torpedo is actually even better here. We've got one guy near 50. Maybe Grayson could put a couple torpedoes into the enemy. I'm not sure. Okay, so we're not going to hit the Naval Administration penalty, so we should be able to coordinate strikes. Assuming we can even detect these guys. I mean, that's the other thing, is we don't have great recon. There's more than this. For whatever reason, there's some sort of graphical glitch where the recon goes further out. Some of these guys' range is set too low. Well, that's just these guys can only go that far. It should be naval attack. Probably set a small number of them. I don't know if I want to set a small number of them to search. That's what I don't know. These guys have a you know what? These guys aren't going to do jack shit. Let's just set them 100% to search. I hate how the graphic glitch makes it hard to see what you can actually pick, what you're actually searching. So right here, that gives us search out to here. So if I move this guy here, I can't tell what I'm searching. So just set arcs to random. So if I do this, arcs are currently random. I guess we can do that. It's okay, you can't tell what I'm doing either. Well, not ideal for a live stream. But so I'll use those Falcons there to get good naval search over this area in the short range, and then hopefully they detect them in the morning phase. That's really the key. Is I don't want like search flying off west and south and all these other directions. I need to detect them in the morning, so that, well, I guess it may not matter because if we'll know if they're at Palembang. Meanwhile, how are our Hurricanes doing here? We're trying to get these guys into the fight. They're repairing themselves. They've just upgraded to Hurricanes. 4 more days to get the whole squadron operational. Do I want to fly the aircraft that we have to fly cap over Because he may send fighters up with the landing force. I don't know where out of, but presumably he would send something. If we don't know what we're doing, XTRG won't either. Yeah, he could be flying out of... Well, Swing Kang is so... Oh, you're right, over here. Probably where he'd fly out of. Yeah, but 6 isn't enough to get up to Palembang. It's 7 away. They also don't... The Dutch Hurricanes apparently don't have drop tanks. So that's fun. All right, let's look at some other things because we're already at like an hour and a half. We already looked at Port Moresby. We don't really have anything detected off the Australian coast. Got a lot of search going out that way. I'd love to get some... more cats out that way. So we're doing search out here. Meanwhile, we did get our troop transports into Fiji. So we're unloading a little bit of supply here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to load up one of these guys here. I think what we were saying, the 111th USN Base Force. We're going to send it to Raoul. So let's go ahead and get these guys docked. Cancel unloading. We're going to go ahead and load troops. The 111th USN Base Force. Nope, don't want to do that yet. We're going to transfer, because that's an AK. So we're going to transfer one of the APs over. The 19 knotter, because it's a fast cargo ship already. It's 16 knots. So we'll go ahead and we're still docked with the AP. So now let's see if we can load those troops. We've got 2,500 troop size. That's enough for that. The cargo size should be enough. So the 111th will load, verify load, accept. And we're going to send these guys from Suva down to Raoul so we can build a bridge between New Zealand and the Fiji line. I was sending the USN Base Force primarily because it is one of the few Base Force units that has infantry with it, that I wanted to have a little bit of combat power in case he does a surprise landing. I do realize it has 100 naval support. That might be a problem. We currently have 100 naval support. Shit. So undo what I just did. I can't undo it. God damn it. I'm dumb. Unload. All right. All right, I'll leave those there. That was stupid of me. If I had been saving this progressively throughout the turn, I could go back and undo it, but I'd have to undo my entire turn to this point, so I probably won't do that. So I should have checked that before the other day. They're all kind of large troops, large units. The 114th is our smallest, I believe. It has it does have, well, the TOE has infantry. They only have one infantry squad. So my main concern is, like, if he sends a small SNLF unit, I don't want him to get just overrun instantly. Also, they have 60 aviation support, which is quite a lot. Do they all have that much? Are we better off if we've, like, does Nadi have anything we can spare? Not really. We have a USN base force at Vavu. Did I just make that mistake at Pago? No, I still have some naval support here. Hey, Sean Mac, thanks for the host. I don't want to pull engineer units out of New Zealand like a G-Man because I need them to build fortifications in the instance that he does something crazy and lands there. Plus, I have to pay points to change their HQs, I believe. I could maybe do the Enforced detachment, but they've got a pretty decent amount of AV. They have 2 engineer vehicles, 8 engineers, 40 support. They've got good New Zealand infantry, too. 32 squads of full-blown regular infantry. That's probably better than I want. We could do the 2nd Royal New Zealand Base Force. Their militia. Aviation support's only 12. 7 engineers with 3 vehicles. We could do these guys. It's the 2nd RNZAF Base Force unit. I think I still have some troop transports here, so we've already got cargo ships ready. Probably want something a little bit smaller from a tonnage perspective. Some of these cargo ships are fast. All right, 4,000 tons. That's nice and small. Oh, shit. I have them set to transport. I need to set them to amphibious. Hopefully we don't lose all their equipment landing them over the beach. What? Troop load should be sufficient. Apparently I need more shipping. $10,000 tons or less, probably still okay. Why does it still give me the panel? Oh, I don't have enough cargo load? Actually, these guys already have supplies loaded. Well, they're fully loaded, though. That won't help. These guys have a little bit of fuel on them. We'll do this. There we go. I will load supplies with that as well because I want to make sure that we'll bring a we'll bring a destroyer with us also, hopefully to keep us safe from enemy subs. I'll bring a cargo ship mainly. Also, I want to load up some supplies for these guys too. It's probably going to be a couple days before we get out. Maybe get an AM with us as well, so they don't get sunk at sea. And we'll sprint out to Raoul in a turn. That should also let us pull the ASW force up there off as well. We're still unloading supply very slowly at Norfolk over the beach to support the 28th Australian, which is really just there to prevent a really light force landing at Norfolk Island and creating even more problems for us than New Caledonia already does. Good to know, Pat. I didn't know that. All right, so we're also unloading equipment at Pago still to strengthen up the 2nd Marine Regiment to get all their support equipment there. 2nd USMC Parachute Battalion also already here. 101st USN Base Force units here. We're working on building Vavu up a little bit. It's a little bit undersized at the moment. So you can see we've almost got the port capacity up to level 2. And we're working on getting the airfield capacity up to level 1. Once Vavu has an airfield, we can transfer aircraft between Pago and Suva. We can already transfer some aircraft, but we can transfer like light fighters like P-40Bs. Prep better at Vavu. Oh, I don't have them set to I have them all set to the capital of New Zealand. So we'll set all these guys to Vavu. Are all the Pago troops here? They are. Also, didn't someone say I should do rest and training when I have units set to over to 100 prep because it gives me some kind of experience bonus, although these troops are already at 63, so I don't know if they'll get any bonus. I think it's only if they're below 50, right? Wow, those Marines have really good experience. 70? That's a good unit. Okay, Penryn is still... You know what's stupid? Is that I've got a USN port servicing unit at a place where it's never going to do anything. The aviation support's nice. I guess it's a small unit right now. It's only got 30 naval support, so that's not as big of a waste as I thought. Okay. These guys should really all be prepping for this target too. We'll set that engineer unit. Probably shouldn't also rest the base. Well, the base force is still there. Meanwhile, all these guys are at target except for this guy. So 70 experience for the Marine Defense Forces have very good experience values. Okay. Oh wait, no, there's no reason to do that because it's only at 8. But these guys, yes. All right. These infantry regiments, part of the 25th Division, which we have some troops at Suva. We could build this division out. This is another unit that we should really look at using political points to free up. Except I don't have the political points to do it yet. They're actually cheaper than the division off the west coast. I just am hesitant because I don't want to... If I strip them, that's the majority of my combat value on Pearl. But we why are these guys set to Christmas Island? The hell? Gotta get their experience up. This tank unit could be useful somewhere else. I don't know why it's set to San Francisco, but it's a good armored unit. Good point, like a G-Man. I mostly doing coastal defense units, although I think there's value in getting the experience of engineers up as well. I don't think I've got a lot else to show. I mean, I think most of our shipping that we kind of pulled out is safe. Most of these guys are heading back to the west coast, thanks to the Japanese carrier raid. We have other shipping that's on the way to the west coast of Australia. It's still going to be a ways away. Probably about 10 days for most of those units before they get to the east coast of Panama. We do have some Marine Defense Battalions and Raider Battalions that are almost to Cristobal. They'll be there in less than a week. I'm honestly wondering if that's a smart decision. It might actually be better. They're defense battalions, so it might actually be better to operate them head them west, because there's different islands I'd like to land on with those guys to strengthen them. Like, those two defense battalions are pretty good invasion stoppers, I think. They've got, well, maybe not. They don't really have much in the way of coastal guns or infantry. I'll probably use them to put them off islands off the eastern coast of Australia, but I did switch most of the Panama convoys to normal speed because they were burning through their fuel. Some of the units are still at flank. Might be interesting here. If I set these guys to Panama, they're already going there. If I set them to flank, can they get there? No, not quite. So those guys are 10 days, 11 days, 12 days. The 6-day guys look like, oh, they don't have enough fuel. Is it just the destroyer that doesn't have enough fuel? Yeah, so they're fine. I don't know why I'm sending 2 destroyers that way. These guys are set to not unload because I don't want to put my air units ashore there. Not quite enough fuel, but I think that's probably because of the transport. Doesn't even really save time, so it doesn't even matter. Still 11 days either way. None of these guys should unload. I don't want to accidentally start unloading troops in Panama. All right, like a G-Man, let's take a look at the reinforcements. Yeah, we've been going for like an hour 45. Should wrap this one up. Been a little bit longer. Planning for the attack at Palembang. So intelligence reports show 1 Japanese operational aircraft lost last turn, 3 Allied. That's kind of a lot on our end. We lost 2 Catalinas and ops losses, probably doing some of those troop transports. They lost 1 Alf. We lost 1 Blenheim. So a lot of Japanese sorties flown, not enough Allied sorties. I need to do a better job of training. In terms of replacements, aircraft replacement pool, well, we don't need to look at that. What about group reinforcement schedule? We're getting the Blenheims arriving at Lido in 1 day. We are getting Fulmer 2s at Chittagong in 2 days. Hurricanes are arriving in Brisbane in 2 days, as well as Blenheims. Those are the guys who unloaded at Perth. 3 days for some Vindicators in San Francisco. The USS Hornet is 4 days away at San Francisco, as well as the Vincennes heavy cruiser. We're getting some R4D1 Skytrains in Pearl in 4 days. Some Beaufighter 1Cs in Sydney in 4 days. Those should be some nice night fighters, I think. Or no, they're bombers? I thought they were night fighters. So the Formidable is arriving in 8 days. Another British carrier arriving. Ground reinforcement, not really much, I don't think. 2 days, we'll get the 48th Chinese Corps at Chongqing. 3 days, we'll get the 102nd Combat Engineer Regiment in San Francisco. That'll be a nice unit to deploy somewhere. 12 days away from the 7th Marine Regiment arriving on the eastern U.S. So some stuff there. In terms of ship availability, we're looking at 4 days for the Hornet. We've got a transport and a cargo ship arriving tomorrow. Not a lot coming in tomorrow. 2 days we get some destroyers and a tanker. 3 days we get a bunch of tankers. And then in 4 days we get the Hornet. Okay. Those top pilots, we lost 1 KIA last turn. Did we lose Cole last turn, or did he die a while ago? I can't remember if our leading ace died a while ago. Okay. Anything else that we need to look at today? Trying to think. I mean, I need to do more logistics at like Abdon or other places like that. We've got a bunch of shipping that's arrived. We need to load more fuel up. So we need to get those guys loaded up. Yeah, there's other stuff I need to do. I'll do it off camera, more or less. Okay. I think we got some heavy anti-aircraft forces and some engineers that just arrived at Karachi. So we'll get them moved forward a little bit. Meanwhile, some of our other cargo ships that all finished unloading at Rangoon a turn or two ago. We loaded 25,000 fuel on some ships that are headed down to Perth. The bulk of the 7th Australian Infantry Division, with battleship escorts having linked up with them, are now headed south to Perth. They're going to drink a good deal of that fuel at Perth. A little bit of supply coming down with them. The other elements of the division here are also on their way. We have a heavy cruiser task force which is on its way to Perth to repair Getting those shipyards there. Sorry, not Perth, Colombo. Then we've got a tanker force coming south with 35,000 fuel to Colombo to help replace the fuel that we just sucked out of Colombo. So we're at 62,000 right now. We could use these guys to pull another 50,000 fuel out of Colombo, but that would leave the base pretty damn low in fuel, so I don't think we'll do that. What heavies? Evoking. Oh, the Perth. I think a couple of those cruisers were hit by Japanese torpedo bombers on the northern coast of Australia as we withdrew out of Java. I can't remember if there was any other reason they suffered damage. I think one of them might have taken a submarine torpedo west of Perth as well. It's been a while. Do my Burma bases have supply caps? So, Pat, I don't know what those supply caps are. Yes, but I don't really understand. So, like, there's a max 500 supply. We've got 5,000 at this base. But part of the reason I'm putting so much supply here is because in order to effectively suck supply out of Rangoon and into China, I need to have larger amounts of supply at some of these bases. I don't know if this is a transportation cap per turn or a max amount of supply before you suffer heavy amounts of spoilage. In any event, though, I've set most of the bases on this railway toward the Burma Road above what their supply caps are, primarily in order to suck more and more supply out of the base at Rangoon. But with that being said, I am going to go ahead and cut this episode short. The stream ended up going closer to 2 hours. I've got over an hour and 40 minutes here. It's kind of long for a YouTube video, so I apologize for that. I'll try and get these things back into more manageable sub 1 hour episodes, which I think was what was working really well early on and was far more appealing. Although, I mean, the view numbers have still been good, but I'd rather keep these YouTube videos a little bit shorter, whereas the streams can go a tad longer, but I don't want to turn this into 2-3 hour turn type sessions. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts on sort of the path forward, how you think we're doing. I think we're doing okay, but things can change quickly in this game. And as always, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm out.